So this month, the Office of the Tax Ombud marks 8 years since it was formed to help taxpayers resolve disputes with SARS. This year, SARS paid out more than 156 million rand in refunds to taxpayers. The Ombud says despite growing pressures for SARS to collect more taxes, taxpayers should not be forced to pay a cent more than is due. The office receiving widespread support for its call for structural independence from SARS. In fact, its CEO, Professor Thabo Legwaila, joins us now for more on the story. Prof, it's great to have you with us this morning on the show. And what an incredible milestone, 8 years of the Tax Ombud.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Michelle, and good morning to you and to your viewers. Indeed, it's been a very good 8 years since the establishment of the Office of the Tax Ombud back in 2013 in order for the office to assist taxpayers receive fair treatment from the SARS. But maybe just to add on to that, Michelle, although we talk about the 8 years, we actually are more happy and excited about the achievements that we've made in the 8 years. It's not just the fraction or the passage of time, but the good quality work that we've been doing over the years.
Yeah. So, Prof, give us a sense of, whether you reckon, in your experience, taxpayers have actually made use of the services of the Tax Ombud.
Absolutely. We've been seeing incremental numbers of taxpayers using the Office of the Tax Ombud. So it's still in its nascency, if you will. 8 years is not that much, but, it has been incremental. Taxpayers have been more and more. We've been seeing tax practitioners using the office because they know more about it to assist their taxpayers or their clients. But more and more, we're also seeing actual taxpayers who are not tax practitioners accessing the office directly, which is a great thing. And as you would know, our services are free, so there's no cost related to that. But that does not mean that our service is any substandard.
So the office receiving widespread support for its call for structural independence from SARS. At the moment, how do you understand the work of SARS versus the work of the Tax Ombud, and whether there is enough of a separation there?
Absolutely. So it's a big challenge where you are sharing resources with SARS, or taxpayers do not understand the different roles of the two offices. Our role is to really help taxpayers who have complaints with the way SARS has been dealing with their service procedural or administrative matters. So taxpayers need to know that we are not biased. We're not doing this on behalf of SARS. We're actually doing this on behalf of the taxpayers, and we are totally impartial and independent from SARS. So the perception of dependence does not help, even though we know that what we do is impartial. So it emanates from the fact that at its inception, it needed to share resources with SARS. Now, when you share resources with a big organization like SARS, the perception is that you are dependent on SARS. So to the extent possible and feasible, we are trying to remove ourselves from SARS. And we have done quite well in the past, because in 2016, 2017, we've had an instance where financially we are removed from SARS. When we employ our staff, we no longer have to do consultations with the SARS, or they do not have to be seconded from SARS. So that independence is growing. We just need to make sure that without unnecessarily duplicating costs for taxpayers, we could share only those resources or that we should, or the facilities that we should, and the rest we shouldn't. For example, Michelle and viewers, we need to share with the SARS some IT, because we need to know exactly what the SARS is doing in relation to taxpayers, so that we can independently verify the information that SARS tells us or the taxpayers tell us when we resolve the complaints.
This is an important issue. You talk about, the resources, some of the resources being shared with SARS, and perhaps an important thing to point out is even the level of expertise that SARS has. It's the same level of expertise that the Tax Ombud brings as well in resolving these disputes.
Our team, we've got a very strong team of highly educated, highly qualified individuals, some of whom have worked for SARS before, and some have worked for the private sector, and we're combining these to come and help our taxpayers, knowing very well that most taxpayers do not have the expertise. So we need to match, if not be better than the SARS in terms of our resources, and we're doing very well in that regard.
I mean, this is an important issue insofar as tax compliance is concerned. What is the impact of government corruption on tax compliance?
Now, tax compliance is affected by a lot of things, and without doubt, government corruption is one of them. There's an issue of tax morale. I mean, that affects tax morale. If you have to pay taxes, but you don't know where your monies go, it becomes a big problem. We really are opposed to any form of corruption, because, you know, corruption goes further than just tax avoidance. So a person that embezzles money from the taxpayers' coffers, not only are they not contributing, they're causing a dent. So whilst we are concerned about people not paying taxes, it's even more concerning when people steal taxes. So that is a big problem. And what we do, I mean, our office helps improve that tax morale and therefore tax compliance in very many ways. I mean, one of the best cases that we dealt with, well, not best in that it's good, but it's just the best example of what we do. Just as we are about to celebrate our 8th year anniversary, we had a case in terms of which the SARS deducted from a taxpayer through a third-party appointment an amount of about just under 900,000, where they were supposed to deduct just about 90,000. And the taxpayer approached our office, where we were able to instruct the SARS to immediately repay the taxpayer based on our analysis of the law and their application of the same law, something that the taxpayer would not have had the expertise to deal with. But what's even more interesting is that this particular taxpayer could not go and procure the services of a lawyer, for example, and that would have cost them thousands and thousands, I mean, like into hundreds of thousands of rands if they were to even get to the High Court about this matter. So, I mean, that's the impact that we make, and although we do not have a direct mandate to fight government corruption, I believe that in very many small ways, we contribute to helping that tax morale and therefore tax compliance as well.
Issues being resolved without taxpayers themselves having to go through a lengthy legal process, just one of the positives of the Tax Ombud. Let me thank you very much for your time this morning. Professor Thabo Legwaila joins us now, who is the CEO in the Office of the Tax Ombud. Thanks very much for your time indeed.